Record. Okay, evening, everybody. I wanted to dedicate tonight's shir to hope to all the Torah we do tonight should be act as a chizuk. Besides the usual, which we always talk about, of course, our soldiers, the families, the mishpachot shchulot, families who are bereaved. But we are one big family, whether we are religious, not religious, dati lumi, Chabad, whatever it might be. We're one big family. And on Shabbat, there was a terrible tragedy in Borough Park. A woman who was driving, who had a suspended license, whether she ran a red light, it's immaterial. She hit another car. Car went flying, hit an intersection where people were coming home from shul. A woman and her two children were killed on the spot, and one child was fighting for his life. So I want to just dedicate tonight's shir to the Ili Nishmat, these three people whose levaya is taking place shortly, and to give chizuk to the family. There's no words, of course, which is kind of ironic that we're going to talk about Shema Kolenu tonight. I have a few introductory things about Shema Kolenu, which is the next bracha. I'm going to show you a few things, read a couple things to you, talk about the bracha. I think what I'm going to do is show you the bracha first. After that, instead of telling you, let me just do it. Share with sound. And I'm going to start with this. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is we're going to look at the bracha itself. And you'll notice I have the bracha on the screen 3 times. Ashkenazi, Nusach Sfarad, and Adot Mizrach or Sfaradi. And they're just there because they have some subtle differences. Obviously, I'm going to concentrate, as I have during this whole course or class, on the Ashkenazi version. So I'm going to read it, translate it, and then I'm going to digress a little bit. I'm going to talk about things around the bracha, a couple things about the bracha, before we start to analyze the whole thing as we usually do. Shema Kolenu, hear our voice, Hashem Elokeinu, Chus v'rach, and I'll mention some questions along the way. Chus v'rachem aleinu, have compassion on us, spare us, have compassion or mercy. V'kabel b'rachamim uvratzon et tfilatenu, and you should accept our tefillah compassionately, willingly, ki el shomea tefilot v'tachanuni mata, because you are the one who listens to prayers and supplications. That's probably what it says in English. Yes. Don't turn us away empty-handed. Now, that's a phrase we are definitely going to have to spend some time on. Because you are the one who listens to the prayers of Israel with mercy. Blessed are you, the one who listens to or hears prayers. So the first thing I want to mention has nothing to do with meaning, but how to daven better as far as pronunciation. This word here, let me make it yellow. Okay. You'll notice that under the aleph, there's a kamatz, which if you daven Havara Ashkenazis, it's ota. If it's Havara Svaradit, ata. But this word, you'll also notice next to the kamatz, if you can see on your screen, there's what's called a meteg, a little line. Without going to the background as to why, this word is not pronounced ata, but it's ki'el shemea tfilot v'tachanunim ata. It's called mila'el. For the accents on the first syllable. Generally, we say ata, ata rotzeh, ata olech. But in this particular situation, and again, I don't want to get into the reason why, it's pronounced ata. There's a few of those in Shemona Esrei, but this is the one only one I've pointed out. Maybe I did others, I don't remember. So I'm kind of putting that out there. That's the first thing. Some questions I'll mention now, we're going to come back to in a little while. What's really the difference between chus and rachem? The difference between, he translates here as spare us, have compassion on us. What does it mean, Shema Kolenu, our voice? Are we asking Hashem to hear the sound we're saying? But Shemona Esrei said quietly. So what exactly is Kolenu? We talk about Tfilatenu. We talk about our prayer, in singular, our prayer. Shemea Tfilat Amcha. You listen to the prayer of Am Yisrael. You'll look in the other versions, especially like I say in the morning, is we have Tefillatenu, and we have Tefillah, we have Tefillot and Tefillat. So we have singular and plural. What's going on there? And the big question is, what's this bracha about? You say, what are you talking about? What's this bracha about? Just listen to what we daven and just accept everything. So we're going to come back to that question because that's the overarching question. But before we do, I have a few things to share with you. That. Okay. As is the custom around the world since the beginning of the war, and I must say I've been in a few cities outside of Israel since the war broke out, and I've been in Dati Leumi shuls, I've been in Haredi shuls. Vast majority of shuls are saying a parak at least of one or two at the end of every tefillah for Israel, for the chayalim, for the tzuim, for those who were injured. And I have to tell you, I was pleasantly surprised. I don't know why I should be surprised because it's not right of me. That I was in a shul in New York, an uber Haredi shul. I was in two uber Haredi shuls in Chicago, and they were saying it, and I was pleasantly surprised. Baruch Hashem, I shouldn't be. Anyways, one of the more common of the few that repeat themselves is the Shir Malot Mi Ma'amakin Karatich Hashem, a song of ascension. Out of the depths I called you Hashem. And look at these words here. It says, Hashem shima v'koli, Hashem, listen to my cry or to my voice. Tiyeno aznecha kashuvot lekol tachanunai. Let your ears be attentive to hear my plea for mercy. Okay, what I want to focus on, I had a question myself. Been saying this for a million years, obviously more recently, much more often. And I never noticed this until about 5 months ago. We say to Hashem, Hashem shima v'koli. Listen to my voice, or to my right, or to can't say my cry, but my voice. Why Shema? Just say Shema. We say Shema Kolenu. We say Shema Yisrael. We say Shema, 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 Shema. And suddenly, in this particular Tilim, Kuf Lamed 130, we say Hashem Shema v'koli. What's pshat, as they say in the yeshivish world? What does that mean? Why change the word? It still means to listen. So I thought it was a novel question. Turns out, obviously, it's asked. I don't remember who I saw the answer. It might have been the Ralbag. It might have been Ibn Ezra. I don't remember. But one of them, maybe the Malbim, I should have looked it up before. I looked it up months ago, but I forgot to look who said it. If I come to you and I ask for something, I say, do me a favor. At 5 o'clock today, could you come to my house, please? I need you to help me move a couch. And I said, listen, I know you're busy, but can you just listen for 1 second and just take a second to come to me and help me? So I'm asking you to listen to what I asked you to do. Now, what happens, God forbid, I'm walking outside and there's a pit and I fall into the pit and I'm screaming out, help me, help me. Now, you're walking around, everything's going on. You're oblivious to what's going on. You don't even hear the cry for help. But at that moment, I'm not just asking you to listen. I'm asking you to actively participate, actively listen. So when we're talking about Shia Malot, Hashem, when I'm calling you from the depths, Hashem, I want you to actively listen, not just hear my voice, but listen to my scream, to actually pay attention. Someone's down there right now. Israel, of course, is in Thailand. We have Israelis who are there to help with the terrible disaster of the earthquake, which, as the last I saw, about 1,800 people were killed, Shalom Neda. And they're there, and they have special equipment, listening equipment. And that's the Shema v'koli. There may be people under some rubble that are banging on something, and normally you're not going to be able to hear it. It's like active listening. If you know Yiddish, if a little bit, and I'm not a big fan of Yiddish, but I know it, and I can use it as it's, for what it's worth here. There's her and der her. In Yiddish, you say to hear and to hear. What is that? We know there's no difference in English. But her means to listen. Der her means to really pay attention and listen. So that's what we're saying here in this particular mizmor, this Tehillim of Shir Malot Mimamakim Keratich Hashem. I do want to do a couple more screen shares of a couple other things. Where is it? One of the section of Shemona Esrei that is most turned into music has been Shema Kolenu. There are hundreds of videos online of Shema Kolenu. And I want to kind of just set the mood before we even get into the bracha for just a minute. I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's 6 minutes of Shweki singing his version of Shema Kolenu.
אל תשיבנו, חוננו ועננו, ושמע תפילותינו, אבינו אבינו מלכנו. קומי לפניך, מלכנו, קומי לפניך, אל תשיבנו.
This part of the song is where the part of the bracha where we're asking Hashem to listen to our tefillot and not to send us away empty-handed. Of course, the question we will deal with, hopefully still tonight, is what does that even mean? What do you mean, don't send us away empty-handed? The general overall question of what is it we're talking about in this bracha, again, we're going to have to come to. I want to share with you a couple of thoughts that I came across in various books, Sfarim. The first question I want to deal with briefly is, I mentioned kind of in passing, is the word Shema Kolenu. Listen to our voice. We didn't say Shema Tfilatenu. In the process of the bracha, in the middle of it, we refer to Tfilatenu, Tfilat Amcha Yisrael, our prayer, the prayers of Bnei Yisrael. But Shema Kolenu. Listen to our voice. What exactly is it we're saying here? So I'd like to, there's many ways to look at this. I'm going to just, for purpose of this one approach right now, I'm going to translate it as our intention, our kavanah, our thoughts that are behind this particular bracha, or what we said until this point. So I'm going to read to you, it's a short paragraph that I came across, an analogy that I think really helps us to understand what this means. A terse telegram was sent to a man. Father, send me money. Upon receipt of the seemingly audacious note, the father becomes very upset and goes to his rabbi to complain about his inconsiderate and brash son, and asks him for guidance in dealing with his father. The rabbi said, I'm sorry, but you did not read this telegram properly. Here is what it says. And in a trembling, pleading voice, the Rav imitates the tone of the words young son to his father. Father, send me money. Upon hearing the Rav's rendition of his son's tearful and pleading request for money, father says, I cannot refuse such a heartwarming appeal from my son to help him with some money. Similarly, when we ask Hashem to hear the tone and meaning that we have placed into the words of Tefillah, we say that with the word Shema Kolenu. I thought that was very insightful. I really like that because I've heard that often. Many people over time will say things like, I daven, I try to say the words as best as possible to know what they mean and to bring some meaning to them. But I don't know if Hashem's even paying attention. I hear that. I've heard that many times. When we approach Tefillah, and this is something that goes back to the very beginning of this class over a year ago, when we approach Tefillah as if we're going before not just the Melech, the King of Kings, the Melech Malchei Amlachim, but also our Abba, also our Father, you'll notice that when we look at the version of this Tefillah, of this bracha rather, in beyond Ashkenazi, you'll notice it starts off in Nusach Sfard, Av HaRachman, our merciful Father. Shema, and then in Adot Mizrach, Shema Kolenu Hashem Elokeinu, says Hashem is our God. Av HaRachaman, our merciful Father. When we look at like Dad, come on already. We really, just picture back to however many years ago it might have been. You have children, and they're not, 2 years old. They're 8 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old. And they sit down and they say, look, there's a big difference between, I'll give you a good example. When I was 15, actually, when I was 15 years old, there was a new thing that came out, a 14 years old new thing came out called calculators. My dad bought one. It was $100. All it did was add, subtract, multiply, and divide. That's all it was. $100. It was shocking. It was unbelievable. So cool. And of course, the purists said no, that they'll replace humans. That forget it. You need to know how to add. Then when I was 15, they came out with scientific calculators already by that point. And I was taking a class, or maybe it was 16 years old. I was taking a class. They were learning trigonometry. And I begged my parents for a calculator. Now, I could have gone to them and said, everyone's getting one, which wasn't true. I could have said, I need a calculator. But I actually remember how I went to them. I actually laid a plan out. I said, really, I'm not good in math, and this could really help me. And I don't remember if I said, maybe in my head I said this, but I really need you to listen, but I have something really important to talk about. And it wasn't just, I need a calculator. So, and there's a story that goes with that, which I ended up losing it. It was many, many dollars, and they found it broken, but that's a story for another time. So how we ask for something, we're more apt to give somebody something when they are talking from their heart and not just throwing out words to us, whether it's help for something or it's money or an opinion, whatever it might be. And that's the kolenu, that's the kol, the sound. That's why when we stand before Hashem during the Yamim Noraim and in Slichot and other times and say Shema Kolenu in many, especially among the Ashkenazim, the Aron Kodesh is open and we're singing Shema Kolenu. Now you are singing Shema Kolenu. And even if you haven't been paying attention to much of the davening and you come to this crescendo near the end and we're asking just hear our voice, it's not just the words we've been saying. We're saying listen to the tone. Understand, but we don't have the words. We really don't. And often we don't even know what's best for us. And we're asking Hashem for something, but we know what we want and we can't necessarily even express it. I want to go back one step with commenting on that, and I've mentioned this at least once, is that when we do daven, we have the right to daven for something as specific as we want. Let's say, for example, you could daven for anything. I don't, but let's say I want to buy a new car. I want a new car. I want it to be electric. I want it to have, I would say good gas mileage. Electric. I want to make sure it's clean. I want to make sure, God forbid, I don't have any accidents. Be as specific as you want. There's no reason not to. Because why should I just ask for a car and then I'll wake up one day, have a little matchbox car in my driveway or in my house. I have a driveway. So be specific. How you ask also makes a difference. But let's take a look. I'm going to put the bracha on the screen. So we have it in front of us. There was actually something else I thought I wanted to share. Just a minute. Let's see, no, not about Alzheimer's. That's a different class. Okay, so let me put this back on the screen, on the screen here. And I'll make this smaller. Oops, sorry. Okay. So what I want to do, you should see right now on your screen, someone just shake your head. You see on the screen the Shema Kolenu bracha? Yes? Shake heads? Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, so I want to go back down to the beginning of questions, and that is, it seems on the surface there are no metaphors, there are no similes, there's no I have to figure out what are we really trying to say. It seems so straightforward. Hear our voices, listen to our tefillot, answer us with mercy, with favor. Don't let us go home empty-handed. Many people look at this as a catch-all bracha, which in a way it is, because there's a halacha that we talked about many times. Within each bracha, in the central portion of Shemona Esrei, from Atachonen Ladam Da'at until the end of this bracha, you can add anything to the bracha that has to do with the bracha. So if someone's, God forbid, sick, you daven for them in Fainu. If you feel you did something wrong, you want to ask for a little bit of extra help, so maybe in Slach Lanu. If someone needs you're davening for someone, say, I really wish they'd make Aliyah. Maybe they need extra help for Tefillah. So you go in Kibbutz Galuyot. So there's all kinds of things, but in Shema Kolenu, and at the end of davening, when we get to that eventually by Yiyu Ratzon, you can daven for anything. You could put in before Kiyat HaShomeh Tfilat Kopeh, or before you say Kiyat HaShomeh Tfilat Amcha Yisrael B'Rachamim. You can add anything you want. So the question is this bracha kind of like, okay, if I messed up and didn't have any intention before, I really should focus on this bracha and kind of pop in everything I really was thinking about, or I wasn't thinking about at the right time? So on the one hand, yeah. And on one hand, it says that even if your mind wanders, I know it's hard to believe a person's mind wanders during Shema Esrei, but even if your mind wanders in the middle of Shema Esrei, when you come to Shema Kolenu, stop for a second. And even if you have your own siddur that you use every day, you can put a little red mark or something, a little stop sign, say, okay, stop. I really need to focus now. Not that the other things aren't important, but you want to make sure that this one gets a home run. So on the one hand, yes, it's a simple bracha where we want to say, just listen to our prayers. What could be more straightforward? But there's still a little question. Why do we need to ask Hashem to hear our prayers that have already been offered? I offered prayers. I davened. I said Shlach Lanu. I said Rifa'enu. I said Atachonei Ladam Da'at. So why do I need at this point to say this? Not only that, if you never noticed, the very next bracha would say Hashem Elokeinu. We ask Hashem in a sense to accept again. So what's going on? And remember, this is the central part of Shema Esrei, where we're asking for our needs. So what is going on here? So we could say, case number one, the comparison. I ask Hashem to grant me health, and then I ask Hashem to grant me health and hear my prayer. That's kind of what we're doing here in this bracha. I didn't ask for anything additional when I said, and listen to my prayer. Am I going to receive more health? Maybe. I don't know. Why not just ask Hashem to accept the last bracha? I don't know. But another possible way. I ask Hashem to grant me health, to hear my request for health, and to hear my request that He hear my request for health, and then hear my request, the request for my health, or hear my request for health. You see what I'm saying? It's like a loop. Something's very strange here. What is it like? Then do I have to say, I hope Hashem hears my tefillah about hearing my tefillah? So again, when we first started the investigation looking into this part of Shemona Esrei, we said that the central part of Shemona Esrei, remember, there's three parts. The first three brachot, the central portion of 12 brachot, the last three brachot. So you got 3, and 3 is 6, and 12 in the middle, it's actually 13. So that's 19, it's 19 brachot altogether. So the central part is not just our needs, but their basic needs, things that we absolutely need to be as people, as Jews, as God-fearing people, servants of Hashem, and the needs of any God-fearing person who stands before God or Hashem. So we come to a interesting conclusion that that's correct. If this bracha, which it does, belongs to the central portion of Shemona Esrei, it tells us something incredible, that prayer, davening, tefillah, is an essential need of man and woman, no less than food, no less than redemption, no less than health, no less than parnasah, no less than anything else. It's as if it's just one of the central parts. I have a need to daven. It's part of a need that I need fulfilled. In this case, we serve Hashem by presenting our needs to Hashem. So if we take a look at the bracha now, we're not davening that we want to be able to daven. That's not what we're saying here. But rather that our tefillot should be accepted. Well, that makes sense, because we serve Hashem by praying to Hashem, presenting our needs, because only to Hashem can we daven. Because you can go to a doctor, God forbid, a person's sick, and ask him to heal you. You can go to a teacher and ask him to give you knowledge. But where does the ultimate healing come from, the actual knowledge come from? Obviously, it comes from Hashem. Because if you think it comes from the doctor, it comes from the teacher, you're sorely mistaken. I like it when I teach lots of kids, Baruch Hashem. And I had one today who came to me. She had a test, 10th grade, I think, whatever. and didn't know the material at all. And she came to me today, literally this afternoon, and said, I got a 99. And I was very happy about that. I said, I told her, I didn't say anything about me. I said, you see, you can do it. Now, she was able to bring out this from her. I was able to hopefully help her bring certain information out. B'chazdei Hashem, and but ultimately it's not me that got her that 99. It's her who had her mind opened up because Hashem helped through me to get her that information. I was the shaliach. That's all I am. That's all I am when I do these classes. I'm a shaliach to try to have you gain more knowledge of Hashem, whether it's this class or any other class, and anything I teach. So we evidently have an existential need to daven to Hashem, to be able to come before Hashem. There's certain words I tell you just sound so Christian to me, but it's the word. It's to worship God, to really worship Hashem, to serve Hashem. This is not just reiterating the brachot that came earlier. It's not just a restatement, but rather it's a statement that we need to pray, expressed. Let me do it this way. When I come to ask somebody for help, and I ask them, let's use the example could you come help me move a couch later? First of all, I'm saying I can't do it myself. That's first of all. Second of all, I'm saying this person can be helpful to me. Third, I'm asking in a nice way and hoping this person will hear me. But first of all, do I need just that person? No, it could be somebody else. Somebody else can fulfill the request. So it's not like I need that person per se, but I need a person who can help me. So I'm like God, when it comes to tefillah, only Hashem can help me. That's first of all. Second of all, do I have a need to ask that for that person? Do I have to have a need for that? No, I don't. I have a need for the movement. In other words, if I could snap my fingers and the same couch gets moved, I don't need that person. I have no need to make that request then. As opposed to here, where I need the health and I need the parnasah, and I need. And I also need to be able to go to Hashem and say, I need a relationship with you. This bracha is about a relationship. We've seen other brachot about a relationship, but this is the ultimate need is the tefillah, to be able to connection of tefillah. I've said this before, and I know I think it fits in here again. I want to share this thought with you. It's not original. It has to do with Adam and Chava and the snake. In the beginning of Sefer Breshit, where Hashem punishes the snake and says, Al gechoncha telech, you're going to walk on your stomach and you're going to eat the dust of the earth. And the obvious question is how is that a curse? That's a beautiful bracha, right? There's dust everywhere. Just walk around Mitzvah for an hour or 10 minutes. There's dust everywhere. So an answer is that when let's say, for example, I had $100 million and I had a child, I said to one of my children, hey, listen, here's $10 million. I'm putting in a bank account with you. Your name on it. My name's not even on it. Goodbye. Have a nice life. I don't want to talk to you ever again. It's a complete nituk. It's a complete disconnect. The kid has all the money they're ever going to need for the rest of their life. But what they will not have is a relationship with me. This is the opposite end of the spectrum. That's why it's a curse for the snake. Snake does in this mashal, in this parable, doesn't ever need to go back to the giver, i.e. Hashem. But this is the exact opposite. It's saying, I need Hashem. I need to be able to daven. This is the main way we connect with Hashem, whether it's with the actual words that are being said that have been provided to us by the Chachamim, our own tefillah. I've been asked many times, I probably have talked about this, are you allowed to daven your own words? Of course you are. Of course you're allowed to daven your own words. You could say what you want to say, not necessarily to replace daven, not to replace tefillah, but in order to enhance. Those of you know I've quoted Shira Smiles. She should live and be well for 120 at least. She talks about going into a store and you go in there and you find you want to get in and out of there. So just help me, Hashem, find that can of beans I want to find so I can get out of here real quick. That's fine. Understand, because you're going to only find that can of beans if Hashem wants you. That sounds so trivial. So nothing. How do you compare that to, please heal my child or please help me find parnasah or a shidduch, whatever it might be? because you've seen on like some handyman have a sign that says no job too big or too small. That's God. No request too big or too small. And if we get into the mindset of that, we start to understand what this Shema Kolenu is really about. It's about every single thing we need. People sometimes go to a therapist or a rabbi, a doctor, and they'll say, I know that in the grand scheme, what I'm coming to you with is really small. Let's say someone comes to me with a question or problem, and it's relatively minor, but it's affecting their life greatly. And I've had many people say this to me. Compared to all the other problems that people will have in this world, this is really nothing. I said, I don't care, because I'm not talking to the other people in the world. I'm talking only to you. And when your problem is big to you, then it's big. We have to discuss it. Say lahavdil. This is the same thing with Hashem. You may feel silly saying, I really hope it doesn't rain tomorrow because I want to be able to sit outside in the sun and just relax. There's nothing wrong with that. Shema Kolenu. Listen to our voice. Remember, the voice in this case is not just the words. It's definitely not just the words. It's the tone. It's the feel that's behind those words. We don't have another source. There's no others. Think about that. There's no other source that exists in the entire universe that we can turn to for such requests, for every single request. Even if we didn't have any other needs, let's assume for a moment a person's perfect. They're perfectly healthy. They have all the parnassah they need. They have no trouble in life. Everything is just 100%. There would still, obviously it doesn't exist, but there would still be a need for us to turn to Hashem in Tefillah. It is a religious need. It's not a physical need. It's a spiritual need that we want to connect with the Borei Olam, the creator of the world. We have existential needs, not only for food, not only for atonement, but for divine, for Hashem's knowledge. What is this? We talked about it in the bracha, da'at. Talk about da'at is getting to really to the closest thing of knowledge and connection. We talk about da'at being a connection, like Vayidach Adam and Chava Ishto, and Adam knew Chava his wife. What do you mean? He say, "Hey, Chava, nice to see you." No, I mean they were physically connected, spiritually connected, and that's this de'ah. It says the Malahar is de'ah Hashem. That in the time of Mashiach, Bezrat Hashem tomorrow, the world will be filled with the knowledge of God. What does that mean? Everyone's going to recognize Hashem as Hashem, yes, but much deeper than that, there'll be a connection, a connection in our minds to understand more. We'll never understand God, but to understand and get this closer relationship to Hashem. You imagine there's two people sitting on a bus, and they're going from point A to point B. Hey, good morning, how are you? Chodesh Tov, Shavua Tov, have a good day. And that's all that passes between them. There's no connection. They got on the bus at the same time. They just happen to sit next to each other. And they just exchange pleasantries. Or you have somebody who's sitting on a bus, on the train, and a guy, he walks over to a girl and he says, "That's a really cool scarf you're wearing." And they ended up talking and getting off the train together, going out on a date, and eventually getting married. It happened to one of our neighbors, actually. So what happens between the two people who just stopped sitting on the train or the bus versus the couple that got married? The difference being that they started to know each other differently, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. It's this connection. And that's what this bracha is about as well, this need to connect to Hashem. That's also what this acceptance of prayers means. I said, what is this whole thing about accept our prayers? It's not necessarily, we're not necessarily asking for favorable answers to the previous requests. It can be, but we're talking about, there's a word in Hebrew called tikuf. Tikuf means validation. We want that paper that we're presenting our request. We want a stamp. Like it's being registered. It's being accepted into the divine registry. Here it is. We want to be on file with you, God. But then we say, don't dismiss us empty-handed. We've just presented a whole long list to Hashem of all of our requests. When I asked for health, was I asking for just a little health? God forbid someone's sick with a fever, 103, and they daven for health, and they want to go down to 102? talking Fahrenheit, obviously. No, they wanted to go down to 98.6, be normal. When I asked for parnasa, when I asked for income, do I say, oh, I'll be happy with enough money for half a meal a day once a week? No. When I ask for redemption, would I be happy with a small amount of suffering stopping in the world? Absolutely not. In each bracha, I ask for the fulfillment of all of my needs, everything. Why would I stop short in asking for what I want for? That doesn't mean that I'm going to receive the maximum. Matter of fact, that'd be hubris. That'd be so self-centered to think Hashem's going to give me everything I want. But if God gives me a whole small fraction of what I want, and even if he doesn't, I have to thank Hashem wholeheartedly. I have to understand that it doesn't change my relationship with Hashem. In the Tefillah itself, we don't lower our sights. We don't lower the bar. We present this whole list, and we have aspirations for less than the maximum. I know that if I daven to Hashem for parnasa, Baruch Hashem, I have what I need, Baruch Hashem, b'li'ayin hara. It's not like I'm sitting here going around to the kotel with my hand out, chas v'shalom. But I still daven every day. We all have to, because you can never assume that what you have today, you're going to have tomorrow. It can disappear in the blink of an eye, God forbid, in everything. And you just have to look in the last few years of what's been going on in all of our lives. But we had this like kind of last ditch effort before we leave and start to step to the next part of Shemona Esrei. Why does it seem like we're saying to Hashem, or why are we saying to Hashem, don't let us leave empty-handed? Is some kind of a, like I say, a fallback? Like, it's give us a little bit of something? No, not really. This bracha is not about the subjects of the prior tefillot and the prior requests that we've made. It's about the communication and service of Hashem. That's what I've been saying since the beginning of this class today, almost. That this bracha is not so much about the prior brachot, but it's a standalone of what we need in this relationship with Hashem. We ask Hashem, we have spoken to you up to this point in Shemona Esrei. We ask that this be a real communication, a real measure of contact with you, Hashem. Don't let us leave empty-handed, because we have a need to walk away when we step out of Shemona Esrei to be changed by this interaction with you. Now, that's a tall order. I would guess most people when they step out of Shemona Esrei, it's not every single time they step out of Shemona Esrei and go, wow, that was such a good tefillah. Be nice, but it doesn't happen that often. For some, it happens sometimes. Some, it happens often. Some, almost never. But when you step out of Shemona Esrei, when you get to this part of Shemona Esrei, of Shema Kolenu, pause. I said that before at the beginning of this bracha. Again, it is a catch-all bracha. You want to kind of get your last ditch in, but that's not the whole thing. It's more about the relationship. It's more about the communication that when I leave the presence of Hashem, I want to feel changed. Don't let me leave empty-handed. What does it mean, Rekam? It means don't let me leave meaningless, lonely, lost. It says, don't send us away from before you, our King, empty-handed. We've come before you. Don't send us away without any sense of feeling of contact. We don't want to leave you. We may not get the parnasah, we may not get the help, we may not get this and this and this, but we also want to walk away at least with being somewhat changed, being in front of you. Imagine for a second, and some of you may have had this experience, meeting somebody you've always wanted to meet, whether it's a big tzaddik or it's a rock star or a movie star or whoever, an author that you love, and you're starstruck. You're in the presence of this individual. It's like you can't even believe you're standing there. And you walk away, and the old expression, you shake the person's hand, I'm never going to wash this hand again. Right? Okay, why? But does that last? Does that continue to feel that way? No, eventually that wears off. But that moment of standing with that person you've always wanted to meet, that should change you. Maybe changes you for a long time. This bracha is not a second try at getting what you didn't get before, maybe, but it's a direct request. Just like all the other brachot, that I want this to be made a meeting, a meaningful, personal contact that will stay with me. I want to take up one more topic, but I'm going to put it off to next time. That has to do with this whole message of rachamim. It's mentioned, if you look at the bracha, it's mentioned. We didn't even talk yet about what's the difference between chus and rachem. Okay, chus is compassion. Rachem, no, is to spare us, and rachem is the compassion. We say rachamim, right? And in what are tachanunim? There's so many words we really haven't gotten into yet. We'll do this next time, Bezrat Hashem. But next time is going to be Bezrat Hashem after the Chagim, after Pesach. I'm not going to wait that long. It's not going to be after Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. Bezrat Hashem after Pesach. I'll send out a message so the classes this week tonight, Tuesday night, Bezrat Hashem, and Thursday morning this week are going to be the last classes of the week before Pesach. We'll pick it up again afterwards. So therefore, those of you who are only in this class and not the others, I wish you a Chag Sameach V'Kasher. To be a wonderful Pesach. Hopefully we'll have some great news. It says, B'Nisan nig'alu u'v'atid b'Nisan atid li'gael. We were redeemed in Nisan, and in the future we will be redeemed again in Nisan. We're in Nisan as of today, as of this morning, last night. So a lot going on in the world, a lot going on in the Middle East, and it's kind of hard to say, just happenstance. There was a massive. How does the earthquake fit in there in Thailand? Don't know. There was another earthquake today in Tonga, which is in the South Pacific. So I think it's South Pacific, like massive one. How is that? Everything in the world happens because it's connected to the Jews somehow. I'm not saying we caused it. It'd be nice to have a massive earthquake, underneath all the nuclear stuff in Iran, so we don't have to do it. But whatever happens is going to happen. We'll take care of it. But we daven that Bezrat Hashem, we should see the actual real Geula, and we'll be able to bring the Korban Pesach this year in the month of Nisan, not in Pesach Sheni, Bezrat Hashem. Have a wonderful night, and we should all have Bezrat Hashem B'Sarot Tov.